This video is being done rather early. Let me get my fucking mic closer here. To predict things that will happen in the NFC South. The reason I'm making this video, and it's probably the only one I'm gonna make like it, is because I'm a Saints fan, so I'm doing it early, and then we'll probably make a follow-up video after the draft, after some signings, some things get cleared up, to see how the teams are more complete and see if I still agree with my prediction this early. The season obviously just ended, so making videos like this is probably stupid. I'm gonna do it anyways because I feel like it. And yeah, so the prediction is that the Saints are gonna win the NFC South next year. A relatively easy prediction to make if you see how weak their division is, especially considering the how many downgrades the Bucks are going to have to make, because obviously the Bucks are going to lose Chris Godwin, Tom Brady retired, Gronk's probably going to follow him, and the other what else is going to happen? Obviously Antonio Brown is done with them because of his antics last year. I think I already said Chris Godwin's going to be on a different team. I doubt they re-sign him. So they're in quarterback trouble, just like a lot of the NFC South teams that are. So uh, the Falcons and Panthers, the Panthers are in such a fucking bad spot. I don't know what's wrong with this team. You watch them early in the season. I think they like started off with 5 wins and then they just lost every other game, like the 11th straight. They won 4 games, they lost a few, then they won one, then they lost 7 straight. Right? Brutal, brutal team. That team stinks. That team stinks. And I don't know what the problem is. I don't know if you can put the best quarterback ever to fix how bad their offensive scheme is, but that's whatever. The Falcons, their offense is like a hair length away from being really, really fucking good, and their defense is shit. But I mean, that's like an Atlanta thing. You're an Atlanta fan, unless you go far enough back. But recent Atlanta, the Matt Ryan era of Atlanta, your defense has always been shit. So it's very unfortunate. But the reason, so there are two routes the Saints can go, right? I think the best route is, unfortunately, I think it's keeping Jameis Winston uh, and drafting a wide receiver. And then, once the Alvin Kamara question mark gets cleaned up, if if he doesn't end up in jail or something, or however long he gets suspended for, you're looking at Mike Thomas like back again. Hopefully he fucking plays this year. It looks like they're gonna keep him. They restructured his contract. It looks like they're keeping him. We don't know about Jameis Winston yet. And that's the big question mark. If they keep Jameis Winston, they draft the wide receiver. They now have Mike Thomas, a first round wide receiver, and Marquise Callaway, who's pretty good actually. And I don't know about Traquan Smith. He's been so questionable. I feel like he should have better production. But I mean, maybe with having Mike Thomas back, he'll be able to have better production. Winston didn't have a lot of weapons he was throwing to, and although his numbers are really good, they're a bit inflated. I've got the stats pulled up. 9 of his touchdowns were in 2 games. That's not good consistency. The Green Bay game was stat padding if I've ever seen it. I mean, they blew him the fuck out. And the Washington game was close, but he threw 4 touchdowns in that one. The problem I have with Winston looking over this year is his yards aren't impressive. His production in that regard is just really bad. I don't know why, but they're not the yards of. I'd have to look back over the games, but these are not the yards of a really, really good quarterback. They're just not. Uh, Especially a modern day quarterback. He was, let's say, how many games? I think he played 8 games. Let's just double his stats for the sake of it. He was going for almost 3,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 6 picks. Good touchdown interception ratio. But that's, if he keeps up that production, that was really inconsistent. I don't know if he gets that many touchdowns. You'd assume he'd start to pick up, and it's possible he would. But it was just it was a weird year. His yards were never great, and he was throwing to not the greatest weapons. So that's kind of what we have to chalk it up to. I think even with that question mark of production, I think him with Mike Thomas back, and if Alvin whatever the fuck happens with Alvin Kamara and they come back and they draft like another wide receiver, his protection will be good enough with how strong their defense is to just win the NFC South. They'll look like a 12-5 team, probably. I'd say 12-5, maybe. Yeah, 12-5 would be my guess for next year. I think they'll win most every game in their division. The team that I'm most scared of that they could potentially lose to in the division is the Falcons next year. Although the Falcons' defense isn't really good, they have Matt Ryan still. Guy's a stud no matter how you want to look at it. As many people that want to shit on Matt Ryan as it's really weird. I mean, the guy's got unbelievable consistency. He lost his wide receiver one this entire year, kind of like the Saints did. And if Calvin Ridley comes back and they can draft another wide receiver, they're looking like they're in a good spot as well. I mean, their offense looks incredible. They have Kyle Pitts. Their running situation was weird. Their offense was really weird. They were missing a lot of downfield threats, and I think if Calvin Ridley comes back and they draft another wide receiver, they're going to be the team that actually fights the Saints in the NFC South. I think the Bucks are going to be losing too many players. The repercussions of going for the back-to-back are going to hit them with the retirement of Brady, and they're going to feel it. They're going to feel it next year, probably being the third best team in this. No, that means second worst in the NFC South. Probably like a middling record because their defense definitely took a step back from their Super Bowl season last year. They didn't look as good. There were some blown plays. That's the reason they lost to the Rams in the playoffs. The defense was making some very, very basic mistakes. There's some analysis videos that you can watch. Just look it up. You'll see like their defense was miscommunicating. It's some key points that Cooper Kupp 30-yard catch never happened. Like it was a decoy route. It was never meant to be thrown to, but it was blown. So. Now we'll look at how what the once again Panthers. We don't even talk about them. That team's gonna fucking suck. They said like Cam Newton's still like in their head. That's terrible. The one thing the Saints have is they could have an offense that's almost as good as the Falcons, if not better. It really depends on how their production turns up with having Mike Thomas back and potentially having another wide receiver if they keep Jameis Winston, which I think all things lead to this. I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to keep Jameis, have Mike Thomas, draft the wide receiver, and the question is if their offense can increase production because now that Sean Payton's gone, fucking great timing, by the way. I mean, what the fuck? Now that Sean Payton's gone, the defensive coordinator, I forgot the fucking guy's name. It's right at the tip of my head. It's fine. Moving up to head coach, you think they'll be a more defensive centric team, which is fine. They have a great defense if they can keep all these players. It looks like though that's how they're going to have to cut their cap space a bit is on the defense to be able to keep players like Winston. But if they can do that, then next year, I think they're a playoff team, and I think they're the best in the NFC South. If they can get Winston going with a sturdy offense and the wide receiver weapons he actually needed last year, which he didn't have, it'd be really good. I think if the Saints had Mike Thomas last year and Winston never gets hurt, I mean, they're probably number one in NFC South over the Bucks anyways. The reason I believe that is because they won both head-to-heads. So that makes me believe that they could have done it last year. They really could have. 2 of the Bucks' 4 losses were to the Saints, but they fell a little short. Really close to being a playoff team, but they probably wouldn't have done anything anyways. That's why next year is going to be pretty big for them. I think they'll be the best team in the NFC South, and we'll see how this all turns out. I'm really interested to see what the Saints are able to do to keep cap space, to be able to keep Winston, because that's the big target. That's the big question mark. If they're keeping Winston, I've looked at the quarterback draft prospects, and like a lot of people think Matt Corral to the Saints, which is okay. I personally think Kenny Pickett's the best quarterback in the draft this year. Just how I feel about, how he plays football. I like how he plays. I like how he looks at the field. I like how it's always pass first. Even when he's running out of the pocket and you like, oh, he's gonna run it. He's always looking to pass. I really like that out of a quarterback. I think it's important. I understand having mobile quarterbacks that can run is important as well. However, he does that, but still always looks to throw. That's the important thing. And he's got a hell of a fucking arm. So I like Kenny Pickett a lot, but I don't think the Saints are gonna draft him. That was the second route. The second route, the Saints, and they kind of lose on. I think they're less likely to be the be number one in the NFC South, but I still think it's possible if they let go of Winston and they draft like a Matt Corral or a Kenny Pickett. If they draft Matt Corral, that obviously means that they're not drafting another wide receiver. So they're working with what they're working with. In the first round, they could draft another wide receiver later. It depends on what options are available. But what they're working with is now a Mike Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Matt Corral, and Callaway, Traquan Smith. It's just less appealing to me. Having another wide receiver prospect and Winston and Mike Thomas seems much more appealing and leads to more wins, I think. But that depends. How production looks, how the offense gets restructured, because obviously Sean Payton's gone. Probably won't change much, but that's for the Falcons. The way they stay in number 2 is obviously they keep Matt Ryan. A lot of people are saying they want Matt Ryan traded. They're delusional. Or like Atlanta draft a quarterback. That's also delusional. They're drafting a wide receiver almost no matter what, I'm certain. And if they do get rid of Matt Ryan, I don't know who for, man. I really don't know who for. Like, are you gonna trade him for who? Kurt fucking Cousins? Fucking Baker Mayfield? It's a bet. You can't get rid of Matt Ryan at this point. You let him play out his career as as a Falcon. Try to get him a ring. He definitely deserves one. Falcons just gotta try their best to give him that. So draft the wide receiver, but they'll still be behind the Saints because the Saints will be better. There you go. This is a prediction after the draft. I may remake a video. I just kind of wanted to make another video. I hadn't made one in a while. A post video comment. If you leave comments in my videos, please don't let them be like brain dead stupid shit. Please, if you want to raise a point that maybe I missed something, then please raise that point. Don't just say stupid shit, or like, because I can't then I have to treat you like you're stupid. Then there are a few jokes that I thought were funny in the last video, like in the replies, right? The Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff could have thrown the most interceptions like Matthew Stafford. That was pretty funny. And it ignores my point, but it was a joke, so it was funny. But there was another reply where he's like, where someone said, "What was your point?" And it's like, well, watch a fucking video, bro. Like, I don't know how to help you if you didn't watch it. But anyways, that's it. That's all I wish for. If you leave a comment, give me an opinion that I can work with, because I'll accept that. But don't just say stupid shit unless it's a joke. Then I'll laugh. Thanks for watching. See you in 7 months.